Hello, middle school families and students. Today I want to make a video kind of explaining what we have been working on in class. In particular, one specific component of our ELA class together, and that is our read alouds. I know your child is in middle school, but read alouds just are so impactful regardless of what age you are doing the read aloud. And so today we're going to talk about the book that we have been doing for our read aloud called Mockingbird, not to be confused with To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, the classic, although that is referenced in here quite a bit. This one is by Catherine Erskine, and I just want to read the back to you here as we begin, and then we'll dive into the story and how you guys can be a part of this journey with us as well. In Caitlin's world, everything is black or white. The things are good or things are bad. Anything in between is confusing. That's the stuff that Caitlin's older brother Devin has always explained. But now Devin's dead, and Dad is no help at all. Caitlin wants to get over it, but as an 11-year-old girl with Asperger's, she doesn't know how. When she reads the definition of closure, she realizes that this is what she needs. And in her search for it, Caitlin discovers that not everything is black and white. The world is full of colors, messy and beautiful. So let's dive into this a little bit more together so you as a parent can feel equipped to not only support your student when it comes to participating in our read alouds, but also have some really awesome conversations at home too. So there are tons of resources out there about this book. And what I have done for our read alouds is I have recorded myself reading different chapters at a time, and they are kind of sprinkled throughout our content that we're doing for ELA. And so all of my videos are on my YouTube channel, which are linked into your child's work. My YouTube channel can be found under Mel Zorhoff on YouTube, but this video itself will be linked to my YouTube channel, so you can see any of the YouTube videos that I've done as far as read alouds or even content learning are concerned. And so if you as a parent are interested in purchasing this book, it's super inexpensive on Amazon or scholastic.com. Or if you want to participate in our read alouds and would like to go through the videos that your child has done thus far or will do in the future, feel free to watch my YouTube videos right alongside of your child or on your own time. One of the things that I want to really reiterate is every book that I choose as an educator for my students is aimed to inspire thinking outside of ourselves. So, we've read Wonder, Rules, Out of My Mind. All of these titles are beautiful stories from unique perspectives that help us as the reader connect to those who are different from us and also learn from them. And this book also does just that. So the author of this book is really powerful in and of herself. She is a resident of the state of Virginia, and after the 2007 shootings at Virginia Tech, she was actually a part of the community trying to understand and deal with the aftermath of this tragedy. And so she was driven to understand how communities and families, specifically families with special needs children, dealt with this violent event and how our lives might be different if we understood each other a little bit better. So it says here that in writing Mockingbird and telling the story of Caitlin, a young girl with Asperger's syndrome, she walked into a fragile world herself and, like Caitlin, offers us something good and strong and beautiful. This author used to be a lawyer and then fell in love with writing, and all of her books have just won boatloads of awards. So this is taken from her website if you want to learn anything more. But what I love about this beautiful piece of writing is that the author takes something confusing and tragic and horrific, like a school shooting, which is hard for anybody to understand, and brings it to the character who is working through understanding emotions as someone with Asperger's who has a difficult time either understanding her own emotions or understanding the emotions of others, and they walk side by side together to really break down in manageable pieces how to walk through a tragic situation and understand it. And so the beauty of that this author has created is, I believe, inspiring to our students, but also for you guys as family members to really have some great understanding in conversations with one another. So, why do we read aloud here in a middle school ELA class, and why particularly this read aloud? Well, number one, um, this stuff is happening. Every single day I turn on the news, something about gun control, shootings, schools, how to talk to your kids about it, is on. And instead of shying away from the topic, this is an opportunity to step in to the topic and examine complex social and emotional issues that students are surrounded by, as well as complex and emotional situations that sadly are a part of our children's world right now. Um, Learning about Asperger's as well as death simultaneously is a really interesting, complex, um, but but beautiful opportunity for conversation. So another end in mind for this is to really discuss and analyze the feelings and thoughts that we're having about all of these complex topics that are a part of this story. Another end in mind for reading out loud or listening to read out louds is to listen to a novel and continue to grow that visualization, prediction, and really analyze the storyline on our own, but then together with our learning community. And then another point of read alouds just in general here at iAcademy Global is to hear me, to see me on days that we don't have live lessons, so you continue to connect with me as your teacher through something like literature. So commonsensemedia.org, in my opinion, is just a powerful platform. You guys as parents really just, whew, you're teaching me a lot because I've got teenagers coming up, and things happen so fast. New things pop up all the time. This video game, this app, this movie, this book, da 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 da. How do I know what's good for my kids? Well, Common Sense Media is like a filter for all of those things. So you can search for any title of a book, a movie, a video game, anything, and you get a comprehensive breakdown of a violence scale, a relationship scale. Like, what does this particular book, movie, or video game have as far as good stuff, friendships? Like, what's the summary of it? Is it good for my kid? What age group is it good for? So if you haven't checked out commonsensemedia.org yet, as a parent, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So the link to the Common Sense Media review about this book is on the bottom of this page here. But I need you guys to know that this book won the 2010 National Book Award for Young People's Literature because of its insightful and hopeful message. Part of the story is about how the community copes with the shooting at this made-up school, Virginia Dare Middle School, that took the lives of 2 students and one of their teachers. One of the students was a brother to the main character, who is the 10-year-old girl with Asperger's syndrome. So this whole entire story is written from the mind of this girl who with Asperger's, with her thoughts, her confusions, and so it's difficult for me to read out loud because it is from the perspective of her and her stream of consciousness at times. So that's why I really do encourage you to listen to the read aloud so you can hear exactly what your children are hearing as well. The main message is a poignant one. Every character is trying to overcome grief, develop empathy, and show tolerance. Ultimately, the entire community learns that problems and frustrations can be avoided by getting inside someone's head and understanding them better. So this ties directly to the point of our ELA class. Learning who you are is what you're here to do. How do we look into someone else's perspective? How do we learn from one another? And how do we develop this really hard and wonderful thing called empathy? This is one example of our read aloud, as well as an introduction to the book that our students received. If you would like to watch that, you can go ahead and click on that video here. And this is an example of a reflection assignment that your children will do periodically throughout our journey through this book. Okay, this is just one of them. And you're going to notice that this icon is connected to every time they have a reading assignment. So when kiddos see this green reading reflection icon in their coursework, they're going to know that this is what they're going to do. They're going to have a reading reflection that's turned into me. And so students have a read aloud about twice a week, and they have a reading reflection about every other week. And so we'll get into that rhythm. And the end in mind again for this reading reflection is to connect with the read aloud, ensure comprehension of the read aloud, for me to assess that students are understanding what I hope that they understand, but then also if any questions come up that we can talk about teacher to student, or even parents, teacher and student, that's what I am always looking for here as well. So as a parent, you're probably thinking about school shootings, Asperger's, how do I even begin the conversations with my kid? Because sometimes I feel like even talking with them is like pulling teeth, especially about what they're learning about at school. So I've got a couple of talking points for you. And this has come from a bunch of different resources from the internet, but mostly the Common Sense Media page that I was talking with you about. So you can talk about Caitlin and what makes other kids in the book think that Caitlin is weird. Here are some questions that can go along with them, talking about maybe even the golden rule and stepping out of our comfort zones. I always say to our students, we grow the most when we step out of our comfort zone. And so talking about somebody with Asperger's, something that's different than what maybe your child knows to be norm, or maybe talking with your child who maybe has something like Asperger's or Asperger's themselves, connecting with Caitlin and asking them questions like, do you feel the way that Caitlin does sometimes? Do you process things the way that Caitlin does sometimes? You can also talk about the title of this book because it is so intertwined with the book To Kill a Mockingbird. If you have never read that, I highly recommend it, and talking about the parallels of the two books. We talked a little bit about how the theme of closure comes up in the book, and this is what the main character is striving for. The author describes this idea of closure as the state of experiencing an emotional conclusion to a difficult life event. So this might be a great opportunity to talk about this idea of closure with your child just in general, but then also maybe even connect it to what Caitlin is going through. So then just school shooting resources in general. The Today Show actually did a really great segment that breaks down how to talk to your kids about school shootings by like age group specific strategies. And so the link to that is right here. But the biggest thing that they keep talking about in this tutorial is listening to your child's feelings, giving the space and the time and students the opportunity to share their beliefs, their feelings, their questions, and their emotions to school shootings and what's going on. And I want to reiterate with you parents that we as parents are not expected to know all of the answers. And so be willing to humbly say, I don't know, as some of the answers, and maybe together you and your child can do some research to figure that out. The end in mind for this, guys, is to inspire conversation, to step into hard topics and to process hard feelings and hard emotions while doing that through the lens of a beautiful, beautiful read aloud. As always, guys, you can opt out of your kiddos, if you are uncomfortable with this, but I highly encourage you to really do research on this title and listen to some of the read alouds that we have, and then come to the conclusion that's best for your family here. If you have any questions about this whatsoever, please, please, please feel free to email me or call me. I'm an open book. So I believe in the power of literature. I believe in the power of read alouds, and I believe in the power of using a novel like this to really help us learn about the world around us. class. So thank you for your time today. I'm sorry this was long, but can you tell I'm a little excited about it? Have a great day, guys.